The last thing I remembered was the ice. The heart-stopping crack, the plunge into the Arctic blackness, the cold so intense it felt like fire. I'd accepted it. My research mission to document glacial melt was over. I was a statistic. So, when I woke up, the first thing I felt was profound confusion. I was warm. I was lying on a bed of impossibly soft, woven mosses that smelled of rain and earth. The air was humid, thick with the scent of exotic blossoms and rich, loamy soil. Light filtered in from a vast opening, not a window, but a seamless arch in the wall of what appeared to be a gigantic, living tree. I tried to sit up, my muscles screaming in protest. That's when I saw them. 3 women stood watching me. To call them women felt both accurate and a profound understatement. They were giants, each standing at least 9 feet tall. Their proportions were perfect, just scaled up. They were breathtakingly beautiful, with skin that ranged from smooth alabaster to deep umber, and hair that cascaded like waterfalls of spun silver, gold, and jet black. They wore garments of iridescent leaves and woven vines that clung to powerful, graceful forms. But their eyes held an ancient, weary wisdom that belied their stunning features. The one with silver hair, who seemed to be the eldest, stepped forward. Her voice was like a melody, deep and resonant, but her words, spoken in perfectly accented English, were anything but soothing. You are awake. Your body is weaker than we anticipated. Where am I? I croaked, my throat parched. You are in the last refuge of the Gwyndara, she said. I am Lyra. These are my sisters, Talia and Nyx. The golden-haired one, Talia, offered a small, sad smile. The one with black hair, Nyx, watched me with an intense, unblinking gaze that made me want to shrink into the bed. You were dying in the frozen sea, Lyra continued. We retrieved you. It was a significant risk. Thank you, I said, the word feeling utterly inadequate. Thank you for saving me. Lyra's expression did not change. It was not an act of charity. It was an act of necessity. You are the first human male to come this close to our shores in over a century. You are an opportunity we believed was lost. A cold dread began to seep into my gut, colder than the Arctic water. An opportunity for what? Nyx spoke, her voice sharper, laced with a desperate edge. Our kind is dying. Our men were wiped out by a genetic plague centuries ago, a weapon from a forgotten war. We have sustained our population through parthenogenesis, cloning our own genetic material. But the decay is cumulative. Each generation is weaker, fewer. We are sterile. We are the last 3. Talia placed a calming hand on Nyx's arm. Her voice was gentler, but the message was the same. Our bioarcology, this forest we have nurtured, is failing. Our numbers are too few to maintain its delicate balance. Within a generation, maybe 2, the Gwyndara will be extinct. Our world will die with us. I stared, trying to process the sheer scale of what they were saying. A lost tribe of titanesses. A dying world. And me, a marine biologist from Seattle, washed up on their shore. Lyra stepped closer, looming over me. There was no malice in her eyes, only a terrifying, absolute resolve. Our science has reached its limit. Our only hope is fresh genetic material. Uncorrupted DNA. Male DNA. She let the words hang in the fragrant air. The pieces clicked into place with a horrifying finality. The rescue. The opportunity. My purpose here. No, I whispered. You do not understand the stakes, Lyra said, her voice hardening. This is not a request. It is a biological imperative. You can't just demand something like that. I protested, scrambling back on the bed until my back hit the warm, wooden wall. We can, Nyx said flatly. We are. Your life was forfeit. We saved it. This is the price. Lyra's gaze was unwavering. We will give you time to recover your strength. You will be treated as an honored guest. Our home is yours. But know this, human. Our patience is as finite as our time. She leaned down, her magnificent face filling my vision. The words she spoke were quiet, absolute, and chilled me to my soul. Give us your seed or die. There are no other options. They left me then, alone in the room-sized pod. I slid to the floor, my mind reeling. I was a prisoner in a gilded cage, a specimen to be used. My saviors were my captors, and my choice was between a horrific violation or a death sentence. I looked out the archway at the breathtaking twilight beauty of their bioluminescent forest, a world on the brink. And I knew, with a sinking heart, that I had to find a third option. The days that followed were a bizarre parody of paradise. I was given free rein of the arboreal city, a breathtaking network of walkways woven between colossal trees, under domes of glowing fungi that provided a soft, eternal twilight. The air hummed with strange insects and the songs of unseen birds. It was beautiful, serene, and utterly suffocating. My every need was anticipated. Food, exquisite fruits, and savory fungi I couldn't name, appeared without me asking. My strength returned quickly, aided by whatever was in their food. I was healthy, comfortable, and constantly watched. The sisters took turns with me. Talia was my most frequent companion, the gentle warden. She showed me the libraries, vast halls where knowledge was stored in crystalline formations that emitted soft light and sound. She spoke of their history, their art, their love for the world they had built. She was trying to make me empathize, to see the nobility of their cause. "It is not a transaction, Leo," she said one day, her voice pleading as we stood on a high balcony overlooking a gorge where luminous rivers flowed. "It is emerging. A chance for life to continue. Your DNA would not be taken, it would be gifted. Your legacy would be the salvation of a people." "It's my body, Talia," I said, the argument feeling tired and small in the face of such epic stakes. "You don't get to decide its use, no matter how noble your reason." Nyx, by contrast, was all sharp edges and simmering impatience. Her approach was one of blunt logic. She showed me the nurseries, vast chambers where the last generation of Gwyndara children, all girls, all clones of the three sisters, slept in stasis pods. They looked peaceful, but Nyx pointed to the readouts with a trembling finger. "See the decay markers? The cellular instability? They will not live to see our age. They are the last. Without a new genetic catalyst, they will dream here until their systems fail. Is your human concept of autonomy more important than their lives?" Lyra was rarely present, always busy managing the failing systems of the arcology. When she did appear, her presence was commanding. She asked no questions, offered no persuasion. Her ultimatum hung in the air between us, an immutable law. I was despairing, beginning to truly believe there was no way out. Then I found the anomaly. In a secluded section of the forest floor, far below the main walkways, I discovered a structure that didn't belong. It was a ruin made of cold, gray metal and shattered polymer, overgrown with roots and moss. It was ancient, but its design was unmistakably advanced, and not organic like everything the Gwyndara built. Hidden behind a collapsed wall, I found a sealed terminal. The power was dead, but my own curiosity, the instincts of a researcher, took over. Using a sharp piece of stone, I pried open a maintenance panel. Inside, covered in dust, was a crystalline data core, similar to the ones in their library but darker, inert. On a whim, I pocketed it. That night, in the privacy of my room, I examined it. There was a port in the wall, designed for what looked like communication or data transfer. Heart pounding, I brushed the core against it. A holographic log flickered to life, filled with static. A man appeared, dressed in a utilitarian jumpsuit, not the organic garments of the Gwyndara. He looked harried, terrified. Log entry 47. The Gwyndara High Command has rejected the ceasefire. Lyra's faction insists the genetic purge is the only way to ensure their supremacy. They've deployed the pathogen. It's targeting the Y chromosome. It's a weapon of absolute genocide. Gods, what have we? The image shattered into static. My blood ran cold. Lyra's faction. Genetic purge. Weapon. The pieces spun in my head. They said their men were wiped out by a plague from a forgotten war. They never said they were the victims. They said they were the last refuge. What if they were the ones who started the fire? The door to my room slid open. Lyra stood there, her eyes fixed not on me, but on the flickering, static-filled hologram. Her face, for the first time, was not resolved or commanding. It was a mask of cold, terrifying fury. "You were not meant to see that," she said, her voice dangerously quiet. "The gentle giantess, the desperate survivor, it was a lie. I was not their salvation. I was their penance. And they would never let me leave alive now, whether I complied or not." The air in the room grew thick and heavy. Lyra didn't move, but her presence seemed to fill every inch of space, pressing down on me. The flickering image of the terrified man cast dancing shadows across her stony face. "You," I stammered, backing away until I hit the wall. "You did it. You killed them. Your own people. We saved our people." Lyra's voice was a whip crack echoing in the small pod. The composure she'd maintained for days was gone, replaced by a raw, ancient fanaticism. "The males were weak, divisive. They sought peace with our enemies, a dilution of our purity. They would have us bred into obscurity. We chose a future for the Gwyndara, a strong, unified, female future. You chose genocide." I shot back, my fear momentarily overridden by a surge of rage. "And it backfired. Your pure future is sterile. You're dying. A miscalculation in the pathogen's longevity," she hissed, dismissing a millennia of extinction with a wave of her hand. "One your genetic material can correct." The irony is not lost on me. The very thing we sought to eradicate is now our only tool for survival. The truth was more horrifying than I could have imagined. I wasn't dealing with desperate victims. I was a prisoner of war criminals, fanatics who had murdered half their species and saw me as a spare part to fix their broken masterpiece. "Talia, Nyx, do they know?" I asked, grasping for a sliver of hope. "Do they know you were the one who unleashed the plague?" A cruel smile touched Lyra's lips. "They know only the history I have written, that we were attacked, that we are the last survivors, fighting for our legacy. They believe in our cause with all their hearts. And you will not shatter that belief." She took a step forward. I was trapped. My mind raced. Arguing was useless. Fighting was impossible. "Wait," I said, holding up my hands. "You're right. I see it now. The survival of a species is all that matters. Your reasons, they don't matter anymore. I'll do it." Lyra stopped, her eyes narrowing with deep suspicion. "This sudden acquiescence is transparent." "Is it?" I said, forcing my voice to steadiness, calling on every ounce of I possessed. "You showed me the children, Nyx did. You showed me your world, Talia did. It's magnificent. You're right. My hang-ups are small. Primitive. If my DNA can save this, then it's a legacy beyond anything I could have dreamed of." I looked her directly in the eye, selling the lie with every fiber of my being. "I will give you what you want. Willingly." I could see the conflict in her eyes. Her paranoia fought with her overwhelming need. "Need one. A wise decision," she said, though the suspicion didn't fully leave her gaze. "The process will begin at dawn. Do not attempt to deceive me, human. The consequences will be final." She left, sealing the door behind her. I knew it was a lie. She knew it was a lie. I had bought myself only a few hours. My plan was insane. It was based on a single sentence from the static-filled log, Lyra's faction. That meant there had been opposition. There had been others. And the ruins I found weren't Gwyndara. They were from the enemy, the ones who had sought peace. If there was a resistance then, maybe there was evidence now. Evidence I could use to break Talia and Nyx's faith in Lyra. It was my only chance. I waited for what felt like an eternity until the forest's ambient light dimmed to its deepest gloom. Using a sharpened piece of the data core, I worked on the fibrous material around the door seal. It was slow, painstaking work, but their technology was biological, not electronic. Eventually, I peeled it back enough to squeeze through. I moved like a ghost through the sleeping city, heading back down to the forest floor and the metallic ruins. This time, I went deeper, into a collapsed section the roots hadn't yet consumed. And I found it. A sealed vault, its door slightly ajar. Inside were skeletons, not giant, but human-sized, clad in the same jumpsuits as the man in the log. And on a terminal, protected by a failing power cell, was a complete log. I heard a sound behind me. I turned, my heart in my throat. It was Talia. Her expression was a storm of confusion and hurt. She had followed me. Leo? What are you doing? Lyra said you had agreed. She lied, Talia. I said, my voice urgent. About everything. Look. I activated the log. A woman's face appeared, strong but etched with grief. This is Commander Eva of the Terra Concord. The Gwyndara extremists, led by Lyra, have unleashed the scourge. Our men are dead. Our boys are dying. We are sealing this vault with our last breath, preserving the truth. Lyra did not save the Gwyndara. She murdered them. She murdered us all. Talia stared, her golden skin paling. She shook her head. No, it's a trick. Enemy propaganda. Is it? Nyx's voice came from the entrance. She stepped out of the shadows, her black eyes glistening. She held another data core. I have always wondered why our historical records were so curated. Why Lyra would never let me access the deep archives. I found this in her private chamber. She slotted it into the terminal. A new image appeared, a younger, fiercer Lyra, standing over a map. The purge will be total, she said to a council of like-faced women. And from the ashes, a new, superior Gwyndara will rise. We will be the authors of our own destiny. The silence in the vault was absolute. The foundation of Talia and Nyx's world crumbled before them. Their leader was a monster. Their cause was built on a mountain of corpses. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed outside. Lyra appeared, her face a thundercloud. She saw the active terminal, saw the horror on her sisters' faces, and knew the game was up. You foolish creature, she snarled at me. You would doom an entire species for your primitive morality. You doomed them first, Nyx said, stepping between Lyra and me. Her voice was cold, laced with a newfound, terrible resolve. You used us. You made us accomplices to a horror we didn't understand. It was necessary. Lyra roared. No, Talia whispered, tears streaming down her face. It was evil. The three giants faced each other, a standoff of betrayal and heartbreak. I was forgotten. The human catalyst that had finally made the rotten foundation collapse. As they argued, my eyes fell on the vault's deepest chamber. There, preserved in a stasis field, were rows of pods. But these didn't hold clone children. They held something else. DNA banks. And written on the console were words that sent a shock of hope through me. Terra Concord Genetic Archive, Viable Y chromosome repository. Lyra hadn't just killed the Gwyndara men. She had killed the peaceful faction and hidden their solution. The means to save their people weren't lost. They were buried here, waiting. I looked back at the three sisters, now locked in a silent, painful confrontation. The ultimatum was over. The choice was no longer mine to make. The future of the Gwyndara now rested not on a single human sperm, but on the shattered faith of two sisters and the dark secrets of a third. The path to salvation, I realized, had been here all along. It just needed the truth to set it free.